Hello everyone, welcome to Code Global. So today we are going to be seeing Python full course part 2. And in this part 2, we are going to be seeing the basic operators in Python, data types in Python, typecasting in Python, strings in Python. So we are going to be understanding these four things today in Python. As I said, we are going to learn how to code the right way and to become a Python developer for free. So without being said, let's go. Basic operators. So assignment operator we've seen. So far we saw the assignment operator, but we didn't see it in detail as I explained the other day when we were working. I said you have to note that this sign, the equal sign in the statement that we use, like for example, we declare a variable that is a user age, which is equals to 0. That is not just like the normal equal sign in mathematics that we study in maths. This means that we are assigning the value 0 to the user age. That is what it does. Because in Python or in programming, the equal sign is called assignment operator. Means it used for us to be able to assign a particular value to a particular variable. So in programming, the sign, the equal sign is known as an assignment operator. It means we are assigning the value on the right side, and on the other side of the equal sign, we are assigning what? On the left side, we are assigning the variables. And one thing we need to understand also is this, that the statement x equals to y and y equals to x have a different meaning in programming. We are going to be seeing shortly practically for you to be able to understand, because everything we explain here, I have to show you practically so you know how to use them and work with them. Also, we are going to be seeing the basic operators in Python that include what? Include what? The addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, the floor, the division, the modulo, the exponent, respectively. We are going to be seeing all of this to understand how it works. So without being said, let's head over to our PyCharm to be able to work, to our IDE to be able to. So I'm declaring two variables. The two variables I'm declaring is one is x and one is y. And now I'm saying that x, I'm assigning the value of x. I explained this in the previous class how this works. I'm assigning 5 as the value that x is holding, and I'm assigning 10 as the value that y is holding. I go ahead to say I want to print. Now ignore this. When you see, when we want to comment a single line, we use the hash. We use this hash. We use this hashtag. We use a symbol to be able to comment a single line, the hash. So now what happened if I print x? What I'm declaring, I don't just want to say print x. If I say print x, it's just going to give me 10, and print y is just going to give me 20. But now I want to make it more readable, saying print x, well, whatever is in double quote, we know very well that it blindly prints. That is how it is. The interpreter and blindly prints it to the terminal. So I'm saying that we should print the x is equal to, and I'm given person x, means that it should go to the memory location where x is and look for the value that is stored in that location and bring to us. So if I run this code, we run like this. You see, it says x is equals to 5. That is printing the way we declared it. X we assign 5 and y we assign 10. This is it. That is it. Now look at what happens. I'm going to just remove this. I'm just going to remove this to allow it now to be visible. Now I'm saying, as I said in Python or in programming, x equals to y is different as that in mathematics. X equals to y is different from y equals to x. That is one thing you need to know. When you say x equals to y is different from y equals to x. So now look at what happened. If I print like this, now x equals to y, what do you think is going to be the output on the output panel here? Let's run the code and see. You see, before the value of x was 5, the value of y was 10. Now I come now here, and what have I done now? Although the initial value of x was 5, what happened is that the third line, if you look at the third line, I have not assigned I've not assigned y to x. But we know that in a memory location, there is a variable called y. And in that variable called y, the variable that is called y is holding a particular value in that memory location that is 10. So automatically, whenever I say x equals to y, it goes to that memory location to look for that value and assign it to x. So it overrides the previous value that we gave to x. That is what it does. So now if I run this, that is why you see x now, instead of x being 5, x becomes what? 10. Instead, then now, if for example, look at what happened here. Let's say I give y equals to x also. You remember the previous value of y is what? 10. Now, it means if I say y equals to x, oh, what happens? Let's run this code. is going to be what? 10, 10, meaning that I have now assigned. Remember, the new value of x has become what? 10. The new value of x becomes 10 from here. And when I assign this y equals to x, it reads now the 10 that is here now for y, that is the new value of x. It assigns it now to y. That is why I said in programming, x equals to y and y equals to x are two different things. But in mathematics, it's going to be the same, but in programming, it's different. You get it? So this is how we assign using the assignment operator to be able to work. I'm saying that I'm given a particular value and I want it to go. Hope this is clear. Let's continue. So now let's continue. Let's assume x is 20 and y is 20 to understand more of these basic operators. We are going to be seeing the addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and modulo, exponent, and floor division. We are going to be seeing them. We are going to be using this example that x is equals to 20. The variable x is holding the value 20. Y is holding the value 5. Now I want to print. Why I wrote the names because I want you guys to be able to see it clearly to understand that is what is. So addition of x and y, it should be able to add these two numbers and give us the output. Subtraction of x and y should be able to subtract y from x. Multiplication should be able to multiply x with y. Then division, we should be able to divide x and y. And modulo, we know when it comes to modulo. Modulo simply means that what it gives the remainder when what? When 20 is divided by 5. So it's going to give the remainder. That is what modulo is all about. And then we have what? We have exponent. Exponent is going to give us, is going to multiply, or is going to give us 10 to the power what? To the power 5. That is what is going to give us 10 to the power 5. Meaning that it is going to take 10 exponent of y. X exponent of y means that what? 20 to the power of 5. That is what it is going to do for us, for the exponent. And then we have other is floor division. Floor division, this floor division is going to round down the answer to the nearest whole number. That is what it is going to do, to round down the answer to the nearest whole number. Let's run this output and see how we are going to get. Let's run the code and see the piece of code. So if you see addition, we are going to have what? 20 plus 5 is 25. Subtraction, 20 minus 5 is 15. Multiplication, 20 times 5 is 100. Division, 20 divided by 20 divided by 5 is 4. And then modulo will give the remainder, because the remainder of 20 divided by 5 is 0. So it gives us then the exponent of 20 raised to the power 5. 20 exponent 5 is going to give us this. If you look this, what we are having here, we're having 3,200,000. Then the floor, as I said, the floor is going to round down the number, means that what? If we're having, for example, we have divided that value, is having decimal, assume it's having decimal numbers many. It's going to round it to the nearest what? To the nearest whole number. That is what it's going to do, is round it down. It rounds down. If it is seal rounds up, right? The floor rounds down to the nearest whole number. That is what it is going to do for us to be able to get the output. I hope this is clear. And if you're watching this, you're understanding, please keep a comment in the comment section. Keep a like in this video. Just like the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed. And I am Nash. As I said, I am the one leading you in this course. So you can reach out to me how you want. Keep a comment. You want to reach out to me, it's okay. I'll gladly receive you. So let's continue. Like this, press the thumb up so we can be able to build the algorithm of this channel. Let's grow together. Thank you so much. More exciting stuffs are coming on, because I said this channel, I'm going to take you through all the base, everything to the detail on what you need to know about Python programming. That at the end, we are going to run real life projects. You need to stick to the course, because we are going to be very soon. We are done with the course. We are going to be taking everything we have studied, incorporate everything together to run real life projects, to build projects from scratch to finish for you to become a Python developer. So sit tight. Let's continue. So apart from the assignment operator, we also have, and the other operators we've seen, we also have operator that we call the prefix and the postfix operator, that we can prefix or postfix the operator. So instead of us writing, for example, we are having, let's say x is equals to, I will give it as x. Let me say I put in this for my x plus 2. Plus 2. Let's say I'm declaring a variable x, and I'm saying this variable x that I'm declaring, I'm saying that I'm initializing it as what? X plus 2. This is the value I'm giving to it. So now, instead of writing in this format, there's a better way I can write it. That is going to mean the same way. We can also write it in this format. We can also do what we can write it in this format to instead to make it more clearable. We can say x plus equals to what? Instead of repeating things, I just say x plus equals to 2. This simply means what? I'm still prefixing this x with this word, with this 2, means that what? X is equals to plus 2. Means I'm still taking the value because x is saying that it's holding the x plus 2. And if the value of x, let's say we initialize the value of x, the initial value of x, let's assume. Okay, assume in this format. Let me put like this. Assume the initial value of x, the initial value of x is 10. Assume this is the initial value of x is 10, and I'm saying that the x variable, I'm saying x, I'm adding, means I'm prefixing, I'm adding again 2 to it. I say x is equals to x plus 2, meaning that x value, the new value of x is going to be 12. The same code, this same code and this code are going to give us the same output. So this is what we call to the prefix operator. We want to work with it, meaning that what I'm using the assignment operator, but I'm prefixing but another operator to it to add a particular value. So when the interpreter encounter this and encounter this, it means the same thing. This is the same as x plus equals to 2, means that what I'm prefixing the x value by 2. I'm adding 2 to it, and the same thing I'm just doing here, x plus 2. It means the same thing. We can write the code in that format to express the same meaning. So the plus equal sign is actually a shorthand that combines what the assignment sign with the additional operator. So hence, x plus equals to 2 simply means what? X equals to x plus 2. That is just what it means. So similarly, we can do the same thing if we're working with subtraction. For example, if I'm just having this, you get it. I'm just having this, and then if it's for subtraction, also I'm having, this is it here. We can say if I want to go with the same thing like this, minus, I can simply just do what? I can simply just write the same thing, but by prefixing that value in front of it, in front of the equal sign, to be able to give it. Means if I just say x minus equal to 2, it means the same thing as this. These two of them are the same. You get it? The both are the same, are going to give you the same output. So when you encounter things like this, you don't need to worry, because this is just what this is just means, because when you're writing, we love to use the shortcut, the shorthand method to always write, to minimize the space and with the code and things to make it to look clean and clear. You get it? That is why we go with this format. We always go with this, so it means the same thing. So if I say print, for example, for example, now let's from up here, if I say print, if I say print x, I'm just printing the value x. I'm just going to comment this. Let me just comment these lines for the moment so you can see the output. Or if I say print, can you see it's giving me as what? 14. Why am I having 14? Because I'm having both this line. Python, remember I told you Python interpreter executes the code line by line. The first time you encountered the value of x was 10. Now we incremented it by 2. So it gave 12. And again, it saw this increment again by 2. It gives now 14. So it added 2 to it. That is why the value is 14. If this is not, look at it. If this is not, if I run the code, it's going to be 12. And if this is not, if I run this code again, it's going to be what? 10. And then when I add 2, means that this one is going to work like this. If I take this off, I run this code again, it's going to give me 12. And if I comment this line, and then I open this, and then I run it, it's still going to give me 12, because both of them means the same thing. It's the same thing that we do with this subtraction also. The subtraction operator is going to give us the same thing. The next thing we are going to be seeing is data type in Python. The data types in Python. So first look at some basic data types in Python, specifically the integer data type, the floating data type, the string, and the boolean. And then next we are going to explore the concept of typecasting. Finally, we are going to discuss 3 more advanced data type in Python, which is what the list. These are the complex data type. We have the list, the tuple, and the dictionary. We are going to be understanding them. You get it? For us to be able to go about, we are going to understand these particular data types to understand. Let's head over to our PyCharm, to our IDE, to be able to understand what are integer data types, what it means by float data type, what it means by string data type, and boolean data type. So let's head over. So the basic data types we are having is the integer data types. When we talk about integer data types, these are numbers with no decimal parts, means that what they don't have any decimal point figures there. For example, if I declare a variable, let's say what are the kind of variables I can use? Let's say I'm declaring a variable, I say age, the user's age. I want to take the user's age that I want to be able to I want to get a user's age. If I'm declaring the user's age, obviously age does not go with point. And also, for example, we can also want mobile number, like mobile. You see, mobile number, the mobile number also does not have a decimal point. Let's say this is a mobile number. Mobile number, it doesn't have a decimal point. This integer number means that it's going to take only numbers without floating point. So if I'm working if I'm declaring any variable that is going to be without any decimal point, I can use the integer data type. If I want to strictly keep it as integer data type, and when it comes to the floating data type, for floating data type, for example, floating data type is what kind of data type? It is it refers to a number. It refers to numbers that have decimal parts, such as what? For example, such as you're declaring values. The numbers have decimal parts. For example, if I say rate, the rate can give the rate as what? Let's say 12. Let's say 12.5%. I'm giving the rate as 12. I want to give also one like salary. Salary, obviously, you're going to have cents, all those things inside. Let's say salary is what? 13, 13 point, let's say 13.325. I'm just giving, it's just for sake. You get it? So whenever you want to work with numbers that are having floating point value, they're having decimal parts in your program, then you're going to go with floating point. You're going to go with the float data type. With the float data type, we are going to work with that. You have to understand these things. And also, one thing you need to understand is this. Most often, in order to avoid when we are going to be working, we are going to be seeing when we are running projects, to avoid a situation where I'm having a value that I want it to be in integer, I want also to work with float data. Instead of implicitly defining each of them like that, I can decide to do what? To just work with them directly, give the float. Because when you give the float, automatically you will take both the integer, I will take both the floating point number, means that the integer, instead of h20, will give 20.0. 0 is nothing, isn't it? But if I use the integer data type, what happened? Automatically, it will cut all these point values and discard them, which is not good, right? So we are going to see that. We're going to just a short moment. We are going to see how we can run things on this and see. And then the next one we are having, try to understand what these data types are. The next one we are having, for example, also coming to this float data type, we can also have for, let me see before going there, we can also have for the height. Like, for example, I want to get the user height. You get it? If you want to get the user height, the height will always come with some point centimeters. It will not just give you just something. Let's say user height. Okay, let me give like this. User height is equals to, let's say, 17.1. You get it? 17.1. And then let's say user weight also. We can use things like this. User weight. The user weight, also the user weight, we can give something like, let's say, 12.3. I'm just given. You get it? That is just given it. The user weight, we are getting the 12.3. So this is just to show you how you can be able to use the floating data type. In situations, you can use it. These are situations because they are going to be this. You're going to accept the decimal part. And coming to the other one that we are having, which is what? Which is our string data type. So to declare a string, this refers to what? The string refers to a text. You get it? And what is that text? It's just a collection of characters. So for us to say, well, to declare a string, you can either use a variable name. You get it? For us to go with it, you're going to initialize the value, which you can use a single quote or a double quote, as I explained the other day, the last class. So we can use a single quote or a double quote to represent a string. So for example, how can we see, for example, I want to keep, let's say username. I'm given the username here. I'm declaring the username. I'm assigning here a string. You can use a single string. Let's say I'm saying it's Nesh. This is a user's name that I've declared, and I can declare multiple of it. Let's say Nash, I'm given many. I can use a single string, and I can use what? I can use a double string, single quote and a double quote. I'm just declaring. I'm just declaring various names. You get it? That I'm assigning. And this particular variable username is holding so many usernames. You get it? And we can also have, or maybe just keep it in one like this. Username mesh. We can also have like a lot of things you can give. You can give the user spouse name, and also you need to understand, if I give user like this user age, or if I give the age, If I give any integer value that I've declared in a single or double quote, for example, let's say 25, what happened? 23, this becomes what? A string. It's no more an integer because it is in a quote. Once the interpreter encounter this, once this compiler encounter this, it treats it as a string. So it can be in a single quote or it can be in a double quote. It's still the same thing. You get it? You can still give anything when you're defining a string. A string can come in a double quote and it can come in what? In a single quote. It is still going to be the same thing. So it doesn't read this as an integer. It treats this as a string. That is what it does. So meaning that this is a string. It is no more an integer. Next one we are seeing is the Boolean variable, the Boolean data type. The Boolean data type either returns a true or it returns a false. And it has to be in capital letters as it is. So we are going to see how we are going to be using this data type. The string works. So to print message, if I run the code, you see automatically print Python programming. So understanding strings in Python, if you look here, we have here, the first name is the first name I've defined it, I've given a string that is Nash. Last name, I've given another string that is Amber. Then using the concatenation, now I want to concatenate these two strings. Means that when I print it, I want to see it as Nash Amber. That is the two name, that's the names I want to see. You get it? So if you come now, we have the full name. I'm declaring another variable full name that is holding the concatenation of these two strings. I'm having the first name and I'm saying first name plus the concatenation operator is this plus symbol that we use. So, and because I want that I should be able to have space between the two names. I don't want it to concatenate it to become one. I don't want it to become Nash Ambo. I want it to become Nash Ambo. That is it. You get it? So I'm concatenating the first name and the last name. So it means that it is going to go to take the first name and add to the last name and print for us. Let's print this full name and see how it goes. I hope this is clear. Let's print it. Let's run it. You see, Nash Ambo. This is it. There are two ways in which we can be able to run with this. For example, I've done it in this format, and I can also what? I can also bring it in another format where I want to use the formatted string to get the same output. I want to use the formatted string to get the same output. You get it? So meaning that I can say instead of making the code for making the code long for here from these two sides for me not to concatenate it. So I'm just going to do what? Use the formatted to be able to get it. So you say full name is equals to formatted string, first name, and then last name. The same thing is the same thing that this is doing. Let's run this code and see. Can you see? We are getting the same output. Now, assume we're having a string here. We have a variable called cost. This variable is cost, and this variable cost is equals to what we're having a cost, which is what Python programming. This is the cost we are doing, and there are various methods that we can use to be able to work with this particular string, the string method. If I say cost dot upper means this particular variable here. Cost dot upper, what is it going to do? It is going to do what? Convert this string to what? To uppercase. If I say cost dot lower, I'm taking the cost variable dot lower means that the lower function, I'm using the dot upper function, the upper function, the lower function, the title, the strip, find, all these are different methods. These are methods. You get it? These are methods I'm using to be able to work with this to be able to work with this string. So if I say cost dot upper, what happened is going to print this in uppercase. Cost dot lower is going to print because I want to print it in the terminal. It's going to print it in lowercase. If I say cost dot title is going to give it. Then cost dot strip. We're going to have this cost dot find. I want to find what? This pro inside the programming. You get it? I want to be able to find that. And then also I want to find what? Look at it very well. This is the capital letters. This is small letters. It's going to find to see if encounter to see where it's going to find it for you to know that Python is case sensitive. And then cost.replace means I want to replace a particular. No, I'm just going to do what? I'm just going to. Let me just comment this. Okay, I don't want to comment all at once. I'm just going to comment this part so that it is going to be much better. So we are running this slowly. We understand because I've just written the code in order to save time for us not to be able to delay and be able to understand the topic and the lesson very well. You get it? To understand how we manipulate string in Python. Okay, look, if I run here, if I click here, is this Python programming because I left this. This is course Python programming. And I want to print, I say cost.upper. This variable is a cost that is holding this string. If I say cost.upper, you see it has printed in capital letters. Now, if I uncomment this, pause the lower is going to also print this now in what? Small letters. You see, the second line is printed in small letters. Everything has been printed in small letters, in lowercase letters, in the lowercase alphabet. Now, pause the title. Look at what happened. I'm going to uncomment this. Let's print. Let's run it again and see the third line. Python programming. That is what we gave, right? The title is Python programming. It gave you an incorrect format. Look at what, don't confuse this and this, please. Don't confuse the lower and the title. If you look, the lowercase convert, even these upper cases here, it converted them to lower cases. But when you say calls the title, it's going to print it exactly the way the string was passed. The way we declare that particular string, the way we gave it, that is how it's going to print it. Now, the next one is this. Let's print it and let's run the code and see. You see, Python programming is going to do the same thing as this, the title. Both of them are going to print the same thing. Now, the next thing we are having is what is pause.find. We want to find, this is capital P R O in this Python programming. Let's run the code and see if we can find it. Good, it finds it. And where does it find it? It encountered this in index 7. If you see 1, 2, this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. At 7 position, encounter the P, the capital P, which is pro, means that it encountered this. That is why it gives us the index where it encounters a particular P, this capital P. Now, let's see, this is small p. Let's see if it's going to give us. Let's also run this and see. We run the code. It gives us a -1. -1 is telling us that it could not find it. It could not encounter any small letter P here. We look here, there's no small letter P in this particular Python programming. It did not encounter any of it. And now look at this one. We say print, we want to use this replace method. The replace method, we want to replace a particular thing. What is it I want to replace? I want to replace the old string that I had, which is P. Indeed, the old one I'm having is P. I want to replace it with the new one. I'm giving empty space. If I run this code, look at what happened. You see how I'm getting it. Where the Python, where this P, capital P, because it was capital P is here, it has replaced it with underscore. You get it? You can put anything, whatever you want to put there. For example, if in case I want to put, let's say I want to put the C. I'm just putting C. If I run the code, you see it's going to require a Python programming. Can you see? It's replacing it. So I just gave an underscore character here and I run the code. You see, it eliminates, means that it's taking the underscore Python programming. Can you see? It's the underscore that is speaking there for us. So that is what is happening. You see how we can be able to do what? For able to get this, to be able to work with it. Now, let's uncomment this and also see how it works. Programming in course. Now we are saying we are looking for programming in course. In this course, what is this course? This course is this variable. Now we are saying we are looking for programming inside this course. If we see if it's going to find it, this is a special keyword that is in. This is another special keyword that is in. So we are saying we are looking for programming in course. Programming in course. Let's run this. You see, it is going to, and it's going to return, I didn't forget, it's going to return a Boolean value. A Boolean value means true. If it finds it, it's going to return a true. If it doesn't find it, it's going to return a false. For example, let's say I keep like this. Let's run it and see. You see, it's still giving true because it can still find part of this. Okay, let's try to put something here. I'm just giving syntax. Let's run it. That in course, do we have anything as syntax? You see, it's given false. It's a Boolean value. So it's giving us here false, meaning that it could not encounter inside this Python course where it is holding the string Python programming. It searched inside, but it could not find syntax. You get it? It could not find anything as syntax, so it returned a false. But if we would have given it the way we wanted it to be, the way it was before, as the programming, you can go in this format. I showed you the other day. If you can go just directly to replay to undo it. Oh, I've just cut. So you see, I'll just undo it back. So if I run it now, it's going to give me true. It's a Boolean value, means that what I can find. It's telling us that the compiler is we can find, we can find programming in that particular string. You get it? So these are various methods that we can use to manipulate our string. To manipulate our string, we have various methods that we can use to manipulate a particular string. You get it? So now print programming is a programming not in course. Now look at this. What do you think the output is going to give us? It says programming not in course. These are special keywords. You get it? Now let's run this code again and see. When you run it, it's giving us false. Why? Because programming is in course. So if you're saying programming not in course, means it is false, because when it checks this, it finds programming in course. You get it? So these are various ways in which we can be able to manipulate our string. You get it? The particular string data type, how we can use different methods to be able to manipulate that string. Now we are going to also understand, if I want to run multiple line on a multiple line, I don't want my string to appear on a single line. I want to be on multiple line. You need to use the triple quote, because if you use single quote or double quote, it's just going to be on one line. If I want to have, I want the output to come out like this, in this format. For example, let's say for example, we are in a company who have done something, or they have given us a feedback or something. Just say, hello, Marcel, thank you, the support team. They're thanking you for what you've done, or maybe thank you for buying the supermarket. They're sending, they say, hello, thank you for shopping in our mall today, shopping in our shop today, in our store today. They send a message. How do we do that? We use a triple quote. That is how we can do to print. For example, we have course. I've given a triple quote here. I'm giving multiple lines to print multiple line statement at the same time. We use triple quote. Please don't forget that in Python, this is how we do it. This triple quote like this. If you use a single quote, it's going to print on a single line. If you use a double quote, it's going to print on a single line. I want to print in different lines because we want the output to appear like this. So I say course, I'm declaring a variable here. This particular variable I'm declaring, and then I'm assigning and say, hello, Marcel, thank you, the support team. For a particular product or particular thing that we did, they are giving us a feedback and they're thanking us. They're sending a message. We receive the message in our phone. Like for example, whatever the mobile, the network you're using, it might come back to you. Maybe you had a problem, you file a complaint, and they'll fix it, or they've come back to return to you. They are like just trying to thank you for that. That is what happens. So if I run this code, you see, hello, Mark said thank you for the support team. It's coming back to get it for a particular service you rendered, or you made them to render a service to you. But if in case I put it like this in a single quote or a double quote, you see, it's throwing an error. Because if you're putting a single quote or double quote, it should all be on the same line. So it's throwing an error. You get it? So I just undo everything, you see? Everything is excellent. This is how it should be. So this is how, because a lot of people usually have an issue of how can I write multiple line in Python without it being a multiple line string, without it being on a single line for me to give a particular to generate a message, to release a message. This is how you write it using the triple quote that we use. Hope this is. Before we continue to the last thing we have for today, which is typecasting, please, if you have not liked this video, what are you waiting for? Click the like button, that thumbs up, just click it, and then subscribe to this channel if you haven't subscribed. Leave a comment in the comment section if this video is really helpful to you, if you're learning and understanding, or if you're facing any challenge, do let me know and I'm going to assist you. Just keep a comment in the comment section and I'm going to assist you in my best to make you to understand better. Thank you. Let's go. So the last thing we are going to be seeing in today's course is typecasting in Python. So sometimes in our programs, it is necessary for us to convert from one data type to another data type, such as from an integer to a string, or maybe from a string to an integer, or from a float to an integer, or a integer to a float. This is known as typecasting. And there are three inbuilt functions in Python that allow us to be able to do this typecasting. These functions include, we have the int function, we have the float function, we have the string functions. These are the functions that allow us to be able to do typecasting very easily. These are inbuilt functions. You cannot change them and you cannot use them as variable names because they come with a Python package. So we are going to see how, if in case I've declared a particular string in an integer, how can I cast it? Can I change it to a floating point, a float data type, or a string data type? Is it possible? Yes, and that is what we are going to be seeing, how it works. Let's head over to our PyCharm and be able to run the code. So before entering the typecasting, there's one thing that we are going to do. What we are going to do it is receiving the input from the user. Because so far we have been giving all the inputs because we need to be able to receive the input from the user. Let's try to see. We're going to be seeing one other inbuilt function that is input. Apart from that, apart from the print, we have also one input function that is input, which is going to allow us to receive input from the users. For example, let's say I'm having something. I want the users to be able to enter their name. You get it? So let's say I want them to be able to enter their name for a particular something. I just say enter, or I just say let's type the message by saying, let me just say, what is your name? I'm just typing it. You get it? What is your name that I want to give to a particular user that I'm typing this? Let's just run this and see. What is your name? That's I'm giving it. What is your name? Means that the user is supposed to enter their name. You get it? Because now I'm asking it, I'm not passing the output, I'm asking it now for the user to be able to give me, the user to be able to enter their name so that I can be able to get it. But now we have to fix this. You get it? This is a message that I'm giving it directly. Now I'm not the one supplying it, but I'm asking the user. So the user should be able to do what? To be able to give their name. Okay, let's say for example, like what I've given here. Just a minute. Okay, so I've asked the users to enter their name. I say, what is your name? Now the user, let's say I give the name. You're looking at the output panel where my mouse is. I say, let's say I'm giving like Nash, and I press enter. You see, it finished because the program, we have not finished on everything we are supposed to write here, isn't it? We have not finished everything. I've just asked, what is your name? Means that the user now is allowed, we have the opportunity to be able to enter a situation like you're doing games or ask to enter the number. What is this? Because of this input, this inbuilt input function. We have to understand this before we move forward to enter the typecasting for us to understand what we are supposed to be working there. You get it? So we can be able to get the value from the users, not putting the value ourselves. You get it? And now this particular value that we are getting from the users, you see, it is just there. Nothing is holding it. So for us to be able to hold it, we know that there's something that we can put there, which is a variable, right? So I can just declare a variable and assign this particular input to it. Isn't it? So this particular name variable is going to be able to hold what? Hold that particular this thing. So now I can be able to do what? Now I can be able to print now what? Can use the print function now to do what? To print. Let's say in this print function that I want to print here, I'm just going to say hello. Let's say hello. Hello. What I'm going to do is this. I'm going to concatenate it now with that name. I want to use like what I told you, I showed you before, the concatenation operator. That is a plus operator. I want to concatenate it with what? With that particular variable name. If I say the variable name, what happens? Remember, what is stored in this variable name is the particular input. Is this input that the user is going to give? That in that input, I'm asking the user, what is your name? When I say, what is your name? The user is going to give the name, let's say Nash. And then I want it to print a message and saying, hello, Nash. Can you see how it goes? That is how you are creative to bring that. Let's run this code and see. What is your name? I'm going to specify the name. Let's say Nash. Take enter. You see, hello, Nash. Can you see what we are having? We are having as a output. You get it? So I've already used the concatenation operator to be able to combine this. Can you see how it makes it very, very easy, right? So we are going to get the message, hello, Nash. This is how we can use the input function in able to get the input from the users. Now, let's enter now to the last thing of today, which is the typecasting. You get it? Because we know in Python, we have different data types. In Python, we have different data types, as I explained earlier. We have what? We have the integer data types, which is going to take just numbers. We have the string data type, is going to take strings. So I've been explaining a lot about the string. We have what? We have the float data type, is going to take floating point numbers, mean numbers with decimal point. And then we have the Boolean data type, which is going to take what? It is going to take only true or false. You get it? True or false. You get it? So I'm just going to show you. Let's say I'm going to be using the input function. Let's say I want the user to be able to do what? To enter what? Let's say enter your birth year. Enter your birth year. Birth. I'm just going to say enter your, let me say, give you enter your birth year. So I'm asking the users to do what? To enter their birth year. And I want to pass this, means I'm asking a message. Like, for example, in the side, you go in the side, you ask to enter your birth year. I'm asking to users, and I want to store this in a particular variable that is birth I'm going to give it as birth year. I remember as I said, we were declaring variables, I said what? You can only do what? Use special character, which is underscore, to be the only character we are having. Special character is underscore. That we can be able to do what? We can be able to use in order to separate, want to separate names, variable names. So I just say enter your birth year. The user, I'm asking the user, enter your birth year. Obviously, that birth year that user is entering, we know that it's going to be integer, isn't it? So you get it. Now, you see what is going to happen is that if this user enter the birth year, I want a situation where I want the current year to minus the birth year. For example, this is 2024. 2024, you get it? Minus what? I want 2024 to minus the birth year because we want to be able to do what? We want to be able to know the user's age from the current year. That is what us to run a small program like this to be able to see how this type of conversion can go through. To be able to calculate from the current age, we can be able to current year, we can calculate now the user's year. You get it? And we need to store this in a particular word variable. And let's say we are storing this in a variable that is going to be called what? We're going to store it in a variable that is called age. Let me just store this in a variable called age. I'm just going to store this in this variable called age. I'm saying that it should minus the birth year from whatever the user is going to add, it will minus from this. And then let's print this age. So let's print age because the age is the one holding the current age of that user. Is it current age of the user? Let's run this program and see. You say enter your birth year. So I'm entering my birth year, 1998. What happened? So oops, if you see we're having what? I don't know if you can remember from what I told you about the data types. It's saying, oops, it cannot go like this because I'm using an integer. I want to minus a string. Remember, enter your birth year. The birth year was what? Birth year was a string. We are inputting is a string we are taking from the users. So this is a string. I want to minus. That is why it's saying that what? Unsupported operand type for, it's a int and string. This is an integer data type and this is a string data type. So how can I take an integer data type 2024 to minus a string data type birth year? Because we passed this birth year, we passed it as what? A string. So you see, it is a problem. It is not giving us. We cannot be able to, you cannot subtract you cannot work with two different data types like that. You get it? So once we see the red message, it means something is wrong. But can we fix this? Yes, we can be able to. We can be able to do or to fix this. You get it? So for us, what to do is that we can be able to typecast. When we are calling this input function here, it is holding the value of holding the string value. So can we typecast? We can typecast so that when we are doing this operation here, we should not have an issue. You get it? Because you get it. Because number one you need to understand is this. When you're passing the birth year, for example, when you're passing this birth year, let me show you. When you're passing the birth year here, this birth year we are passing here is, sorry, this birth year that we are passing here is a string. This 1998 is a string that we are passing. Is a string. 1998 is a string. And then we are using what? We are giving an integer value that is 2024. 2024, we want to use an integer value to minus what? A string. Can it work? It doesn't work like that. The only way we can do this is to typecast by typecasting the type convention, as I told you. Type convention, which is a typecasting. You get it? It doesn't work like this. Let me just delete this line. So the reason we got that error was just because we are having what? We are having two different things that we want to work with. We're having what? An integer because look, for example, look at what is just happening. Why we got that error? Because remember the bed here you enter here, this bed here is holding the string, and the string that the person entered is this. Let me show you. I'm just going to do my best to explain this so you can better understand well. Is 1998. Can you see? 1998. So this is an integer minusing a string. But that is why when it's reading this bed here, it is picking the value 1998 that was given. Can you see? So that is a problem, which is a big problem because it cannot work like that. These are two different data types. How can you subtract a string from a integer? So in Python, we have in different ways in which you can be able to handle this. You get it? So we have what? The different data types that we have. We have what? We have the int function that we can be able to give that int function to be able to pass that particular word. If we want to pass it for it to go to that bed here. So whatever the bed here that we are going to give is going to read it as what? Is going to read it as an integer, meaning that coming here, I'm just going to go backward. I'm just going to undo. So with this birthday I'm having here, I can typecast now to become an integer because it is a string. Now, already for me, I can typecast it. Means that I need to give the int function. Remember what I said when we were explaining that we have the int function, the float function, the string function. These are functions that we use to do type convention, as I was explaining earlier. So I have to pass this int function here. When I pass this int function here for the bed here, meaning that what I am typecasting this string now to become an integer. Means that 1998 you're giving here is going to become an integer for it now to work smoothly. You get it? And the age variable. Now let's run our program and see. So let's enter. We have 1998. Now, can you see? It shows that I'm currently 26 years old. That is what it's saying, right? It's currently 26 years old. That is what it's saying, isn't it? Because it's giving the output now, it's not giving error because we typecast it. This is type convention of typecast it to the int function. So pass this string now as an integer, so automatically the subtraction can take place. You get it? There's another built-in function that we know that is called what? Float, isn't it? We have that which is called what? It is called a float. I explained that there are three of them that I showed. So we have what? Float, the built-in function that is a float. We have also what? We have also what? A string, isn't it? Then we want to typecast using the functions. I want to typecast. Oh, the first one we saw is this integer that we have typecast. We typecast this bed here to be common from a string to become an integer. So we can also understand the other ones also. So every you get it for us to be able to work, and we know floating point numbers are coming reward with the reward decimal point. Float means that it's typecasting a particular number. It should typecast it to become a what a particular. It should become what a floating number. That is what it should become. So the various input this in data type, the functions we are having, int for converting the value to an integer. We have the int function. We have the float function to convert a value to a floating point number, means a number with a decimal point. And then we have what? We have the bool for converting a value to a particular value to a boolean data type, which is what? True or false. And then we have the string, the str, which is for converting a value into a string. We want to convert a particular value to a string, then we need to use this particular data type. You get it, for us to be able to convert that. Okay, now we are going to do a little exercise that is very, very beautiful. So I just want us to do a small exercise to do a small calculation program. That in that small calculation program, what we are going to do is that we are going to be taking the first number, we are going to take a second number, and then we are going to calculate the sum of it. You get it? Let's say we are going to take a first number. Let's say we're going to get the first number. First number we are going to get it there. That first number that we are going to get, let's say 20.2, and then you're going to get a second number. A second number, I'm just going to give it as maybe say 10. And then we are going to now calculate the sum. This is a small exercise, small calculation program. The sum of these two. So it's going to give a sum of these two, which is going to give us what? Is going to give us 30.2, isn't it? 30.2. So if you can be able to do this, fine. You can pause this video and then you do what? You do it and then you check with my own solution to see if it is okay with mine. If it meets the same way mine is, just pause the video, try it yourself, and then check with my solution. So first, we are just going to let's just get a variable. We're just going to get a variable called first. I'm just going to give a variable called first, and in this variable called first, I'm going to store our input function. Ah, my God. The input function. So input, in this input function, I'm going to what? I'm going to pass the variable. I'm going to give what? They should say first, for them to also give the first number. So first that I'm passing here. And then I'm going to also do what? I'm going to also declare what? I'm going to declare a second what? A second variable called second. And I'm going to pass what? The input to it, that is going to be second. Now, the next thing we are going to do is to be able to do what? To calculate the sum. You get it? I'm going to be able to calculate the sum that I want to be able to get for that. The sum that I want to get is what? I want to get the sum is first plus the second, isn't it? So sum first plus second. Hmm. So I'm getting it, which is the first plus the second. So now let's print the sum and see what we are going to get. So if I print sum, let's print the sum and let's run it and see what we are going to get. So you say enter the first number. I'm going to enter the first number as 20.2. It can be anything. Enter the second number, let's say 10. Now, you see, if you look at it now, look at what happens. The output is not coming out the way we want it, right? If you look at it, it's giving us what? 20.210. Can you see? 20.210. Okay, let me do in this format again so you can see. Let me just not give the decimal. Let me run it again. So the first number, I'm just going to enter it as, let's say 10. The second number, I'm going to enter as 20. Look at what happened. It gives me 1020. That is not what we want because it's just concatenating. Remember, this plus sign is just a concatenation operator. It's going to combine the two like that and blindly print it the way it is. That is the problem with it. So this is not what we want from our output. So what is it that we want? We want in the situation where we should be able to get it, the sum. We want that this value here should be able to add to this value here and give us the output. You get it? Now, one thing you need to understand is that what? Both these numbers are what? Strings. Can you see? They are strings. That is why it concatenated it and gave us like this. Because when it is giving us, look at what is happening. It is reading like this. When it is reading like this, the first it is reading it like this, 10. The second, look at how it is giving. Is the number we are giving, it is reading it like this. 20, because that is our string. What we are passing is a string. So is it possible for us to be able to fix this? Yes, we can be able to fix this. How? By typecasting it. You get it? Like what we did previously, we can be able to fix that here also in another way for us to typecast. You get it? So we are just combining two strings to get 1020. That is what is happening here. But that is not what we want, isn't it? So to solve this problem, we can do what? We can just typecast. We can just come here and put what? We can put here, but let's say directly from here, or we can come directly from here and pass what? Let's pass the int function. You get it? Let's pass the int function here. You get it? If we pass the int function here, what is that we are going to get? You get it? So it should be able to do what? It should be able to get in that format. No, I'm going to pass it. I'm going to pass it here. No, 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 no. In this format because they are two different. So I'm passing it here also. Int function here. So now let's run this program. If I run the program, first, I'm giving 10. Second, 20. See, this is the typecasting. You see, we are getting the output now, which is what? 30. We are getting the output. You get it? Now we have typecast it. We have converted what? A string to an integer. You get it? What now? The point is now, what if now we enter a floating point number? Look at what happened. What if the number we are entering, my first number is what? 10, 10.3. The second number is 30.23. Now look at what happened. It throws an error because why? Why is it throwing an error? This is a floating, we have typecasted it to what? To only convert to integer, not to float. It is to float, as I told you people before, float is going to go in for integer and it's also going to go for what? It's going to go for float. Because I'm saying that what is giving us here, look at what it's giving. Read the comment, it says, invalid literals for integer, which base 10, 10.3 means that what? Because it sees what? It sees a floating point number. So it is not getting it. It is not coming the way it is supposed to be. It becomes a problem. Can you see? So now, in order to fix that, can we fix that? Yes, we can be able to fix this so that we don't have this floating point. So the best thing to do is what? Is to solve the problem, we can just do what? Instead of integer, we can to treat both the values as float. Instead of integer, we can give it as float. So we are typecasting it to float. Float. So let's run it again and see. So now look at what is going to happen. We are going to enter, let's say, a whole number, and then we are going to enter a floating point number. Can you see? It gives us correctly. Can you see? Which is excellent. Whether it is a whole number or it's a floating point number, it gives the output. Now let's run this program again and give only the integer number values, whole numbers, like say 10. Then second number, let's say 20. Can you see? It also gives us the output 30.0, which is beautiful. That is why most of the time we'll just use the float. Because float, it will give both the integer and it also give both the floating point number. You see, we are typecasting, that is type conversion. We are converting from one data point to another data point. You get it? That is what is happening for us to be able to work in that format. Now, look at what happened. Let me do in this format. Let me fix this. Again, let's say mm, mm, sum. Let's say sum. So now look at what is going to happen. I'm going to concatenate. Look at what happened. When I print this, I'm going to give it, let's say 10, 23. You see, it's telling us here, can only concatenate what? String, not float. So you see, with float and string, it doesn't go because now this is a float. This sum here is holding a float, and this is a string. It cannot concatenate a string and a float. That is what it's telling us. So you cannot do that. So because this is a floating point and then this is a string, so we are adding the two, it's not giving us. So Python doesn't know, doesn't understand how to evaluate what? A float and a string. How to concatenate a float and a string. It doesn't understand that. So to solve such a problem, we need to what? Convert what? We need to convert the sum. You get it? To solve such a problem, we convert the sum to what? We can convert that sum to a string. You get it? That's the best thing we can do. We can just convert here, even though it is a float here, but we can now convert it now to string here. If I say what convert to string means I'm going to use the str, that is a string function, isn't it? Hmm. So I can be able to convert it to the string. So if I run the program again, you enter, let's say 10, 19, or whatever, my hand falls on. You see, it's giving us the output correctly because I've typecasted this string, this float here to what? To a string. So it's concatenating the sum and the string, and now it's with this other float, but because I've typecasted it here as what? I've converted it now to what? To be a string data type. I've passed it as a string data type. And then also directly, if in case I want to pass directly the string from up here, if I don't want to implicitly do it here, I want to pass it directly, I can pass it directly here and just give it the float. When I'm answering that particular string, I can convert it here to float immediately when I'm declaring it. You can just convert it to a float directly from here. Even this float. So I'm passing the input function directly as a floating function directly from there so that we to avoid the situation down here. So meaning that what this situation here, we don't need it anymore. You get it? We don't need this. Similarly, we don't need this to stress again anywhere here. You get it? So this part, we can just change the expression here to just first plus second, just like this. Is and then we just click on. It's just going to type conversion is very important in Python and other programming languages. From here, if I just give it 10, so without stressing here, I've already typecasted it directly here. This particular string, I've just put them in float directly here. So when you're picking this automatically, it knows it's the floating point number that it is picking. It doesn't have a problem. So you see, it's giving us the output. Excellent. So this is how type convention work in Python programming, or you get it for you to be able to understand. So how we can be able to work. This is how it works. Hope it is clear.